Okay, I'd like to call the
Convention centers.
North Aurora Committee of the whole meeting for Monday, December 4th, 2023 to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Gately. Here. Trustee Nedvedge.
Here.
Trustee Curtis.
Here.
Trustee Lowry. Here. And Mayor Gaffino.
Here. Audience comments. Seeing none. Trustee comments. Discussion. Item 1, Steve.
Thank you. Item number 1 for discussion is the issuance of a Class D liquor license for Jay's Wine and Liquors. Jay's Wine and Liquors has been around for a while. It's on Butterfield Road, but it is changing names. And with the change in the name, since we don't transfer liquor licenses, essentially all this is when it goes from one ownership group to another, we end up decreasing the number of licenses available so that we end up removing it. And then we asked the board to reissue a new license so that the mayor can issue it to the new owner. So in front of you tonight is basically just their background paperwork, and they're about to go through that process. And then the next meeting, if the board has no issues, we would bring the ordinance back to approve the new liquor license.
No, we're good.
Sounds good.
I'm all good.
Yeah.
All right. Item 2, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 2 is regarding the local municipal sales tax referendum. As the board's aware, you just approved the question for the public to utilize when it goes to vote in the spring. In the meantime, what we thought was a nice way to get going would be to at least show some of the ideas we had for public outreach during the referendum efforts to educate the public. As our attorney has said before, in our professional capacities, we can't advocate for it, but what we can do is we can educate with factual information. And with that being said, Jason is going to walk you through and show you some of the items and we don't have in front of us, but we have a pretty tight timeline on when we're going to post information so that it's consistent, but not too much. And Jason's going to show you what the kind of things we're going to do.
Okay, first we'll just start with the question that was approved earlier tonight. Although we did select all 3 options, the public improvements, the property tax relief in general, municipal operations, a lot of what you're going to see tonight is probably going to be really focused around capital projects in the public works building and kind of the need for raising money for those items. So first we'll start out with Facebook updates. So, we've got a number of kind of updates and scripts written out that we're planning on posting to Facebook periodically, with the first one being pretty much this week, sometime later this week. But we really have a lot of these updates planned around key dates within the process. So whenever early voting is starting, voting by mail starting, we have the town hall meetings or public work open house meetings or election day. We're really trying to get out there and really push information out there kind of close to these key dates when people are actually going to get out there and start voting and thinking about what they're doing. I just wanted to show a couple sample Facebook posts that we have. This one is actually, I think, one of the ones that will probably be the first one coming out later this week. We'll just have some graphics out there and then some informational pieces that just really explain kind of what we're doing and what we're looking for. Maybe kind of some key dates as to what's coming up, when election is going to be. Here's another one, that sample one, just kind of explaining that for every $100 in qualifying purchases you spend, it equates to 50 cents more that you'd pay in taxes. Maybe just giving some information as to, most groceries, car sales are exempt. So really just educating people as to really what they're voting on or what they're considering. Apologize for the quality of this, but this is just a sample of what on the community signboard over here at State Street and Route 31 is. We'll just put some informational up there about when people drive by, take them to our website so they can get more information, or reminding them when the actual voting date is. So just kind of putting information out there for the people to see in different ways. We're also planning on doing a 2-page full feature newsletter that's going to come out in the February and March newsletter. So this is just a mock-up of some things that we kind of have put together so far. That first page you see on the left side would just basically include some general information as to kind of what's being considered, why we're looking at doing this referendum, maybe some FAQs. On the second page, that talks more about some of the capital projects, giving renderings of what the public works building is going to look like. And down at the bottom, we have some of those key dates. So we'll talk about in a little bit about the town hall meetings where people can come out and ask questions, or the public works open houses where people can actually go look at the current facility and see what the need is for a new facility. The town hall meetings, We plan on having 3 dates, one in January, one in February, one in March, just so that we can kind of get the information out there and make it for different people, when they can't attend. But we'd probably plan on staff coming out and giving, a presentation as to what we're looking to do with this referendum, and give people to ask questions, and we'll give answers as to what the referendum is, what it'll apply to, why we're looking to do this. And then we're going to follow this up with the day after. We'll have basically January, March, and February. So kind of looking at it almost like a back-to-back days of where then the people can come out to the Public Works garage and actually look at, what our current operation, our current facility looks like, why we're running out of room, can't fit all the building, the vehicles and equipment within the building, and actually have that need to go out there and do the new building. And then finally, we're going to have a dedicated website for all the information basically that you've seen tonight. This is really just going to kind of be the holding place of where everything's at, just everything in one, summary of the referendum and its needs, the FAQs, informational graphics, a calendar of events, just reminding people when everything's happening, when everything is. And I mentioned it's just a centralized location for basically all the information that we've got out there to give people. And again, we can't advocate, like we mentioned in the past, we can't advocate vote yes, vote no. We're just kind of throwing it out there as here's all the information for you to kind of consider and consume, and just maybe really creating one central place where they can do it.
I think the only thing I would add that it wasn't in there per se was the content for, let's say, the town hall meetings. Think what we'd envisioned there, because it wouldn't be a very long meeting to go over FAQs or anything like that. But I think what Jason and I will do is try to focus on some of the funding mechanisms we have in place for capital projects, the cost of the upcoming public works facility, and show everybody how much money goes dedicated into capitals and what would happen with or without a referendum funding wise, and what scenarios we might have to do to fund certain projects, just to show them how the budget process takes place, so to speak.
I'd like there to be a little bit of an emphasis placed on this being a consumption tax that extends beyond our border. Because I think people see, they'll get locked into that mindset that it's a tax that only the residents are paying. And we need to communicate that in order for us to keep taxes low, property taxes low, we need other revenue sources. So I'd like there to be a little bit of that. My second question is the way that it was worded. Are we locked into that, or can we transpose it? Because we kind of lead with the stick and not the carrot.
In what way are we? So go back to the question. Do you want to pull the question back up real quick?
So the question on the referendum, it starts out with shall the village increase its sales tax, instead of could we lead with for property tax relief, shall the village of North Aurora increase? Like, could we?
So start with
that?
the end where it says for expenditures on public improvements, infrastructure, and property tax or property
Right,
tax
so
relief.
lead with that. Because again, we want
I like
people
that.
to see that this isn't
it's
a
good.
tax, because there
Yeah.
are some people who go out and they see a question about raising a tax and no.
Yeah.
Immediately no.
I agree with that.
I
Yeah,
agree
so-
with that too. I thought that was what we.
So some of the feedback I got from the Department of Revenue is, I guess, because what I was told is because of the municipal operations one, and there's a statutory requirement within the statute that says that there's an end date for it. They kind of want you to do it basically as the statute says. Should we have just said public improvements? They were told me that there's really, we could basically ask the question no matter what we want, however we want it, as long as it kind of semi fits in there. It's just the way they make it sound is when we do kind of the all three, we kind of have to make it as close to following the statute as possible. So that's kind of why we wrote it this way. Is it seems like we have a lot less leeway of how we want to word it, but we can run it. I can run it by them one more time.
Flexibility, because I mean, it's in our interest to get this thing passed.
Mhm.
But we need to, like, again, we have to sell it. And the way to sell it is to say, this is a net benefit to you as a taxpayer, because it goes beyond our borders. It's a consumption tax. So I just want to make sure that, I mean, I don't know how many people are going to read the flyers and go to the website, but I do know a lot of people who, the minute they see a tax increase, it's going to be no.
We can run that one by him one more time. I've got a contact I can ask tomorrow.
I guess the issue would be, and I just, so the vote to approve that question came up tonight, but that doesn't mean we actually haven't think at least one more meeting before it technically has to be sent to the county by the end of the month or early January. So, yeah, I mean, that could work. We can, if the board wants, we can send it to the IDOR and ask them. I mean, this just the, Jason did a nice job. If you remember, the original question was actually wordier than this. It said corporate tax authorities, Kane County, it had all this stuff in there. And then Jason thought it was a good idea, and I agreed with him to put in parentheses local sales tax, so people actually understood what an occupation retail tax was.
Yeah, that is good. I saw that.
We figured, because that was the feedback we heard from the board,
Right.
that no one even knows what that is. But I think we can do that. We can run it by the IDOR, and if they say, Department of Revenue says, yeah, you can do that, we can always bring it back in at the next meeting on the 18th, reword it, approve it that night, and then send it to the county.
Yeah, look into that, because I think people immediately are gonna see raise tax and no, they're not gonna get to that last sentence.
You know, if they turn out to be inflexible, could you maybe just get it to us in an email or something? And that might be a more pragmatic way to handle it if they don't allow us to reword it. You know, that way we will know coming into the next meeting.
Can't really have a discussion on email, right?
What we're able
We
to
should
do,
use-
if anything. But I'm in complete agreement. I think we should lead with the carrot.
The only issue, if I can identify it for everybody, the only issue is that if you do too much of the question, and it doesn't mean that the proposed change wouldn't be fine or possible, but I'm just saying if you do too many changes, someone challenges it based on some sort of factor, you know, all the work that we've done, you know, the village does to get it passed, could be challenged legally. So that's the only risk that we have to weigh if we're going to deviate from the statute.
Okay, well, I was thinking just in terms of if they say it's okay,
Right.
then there'd be less of an opportunity to challenge it.
I would say that getting the Department of Revenue's blessing is going to give you a nice leg up, but that's not necessarily, you know, a dispensation that it's on the up and up in terms of a legal challenge. So
Well, we can always ask, and if they say no, then they know, but I'd rather try than not.
Is there any other questions or thoughts?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a good process, you know, and like I said, if we can't change it, at least I think having the meet and greets and whatever you can to kind of let people see. And I don't know if you can do any pictures, or if they can't come to one of the open houses, to the way to have something else, but to show our facilities and things that we need. And
Well, for instance, we might be able to put the presentation. It's hard to put PowerPoints up sometimes because they don't have sometimes they're mostly pictures without the actual context, but might be able to do presentations and post them on the
Right.
website as we have them if people
Right.
can't attend. Things
great
like that.
parts of it, like, you know,
Yeah.
the garage or the facilities for women now out there, you know, there's no really locker rooms, and it's just outdated and small, and just, you know, it's outgrown. So
No, we just don't have enough room, and we have grown so large. We don't have
I
enough room
think
for
it's
trucks.
important when we coordinate with Brian's staff, because we have a lot of our equipment scattered, because it's not actually able to fit in the garage, the whole water department essentially.
Yeah.
That we should, you know, bring those vehicles there and let everyone show this is actually the vehicles we have.
And all the equipment that's stored outside, and that's really not good for
Mhm.
it. The longevity there is, you know, not as good as if it was stored inside, and
You know, yeah, we
Yeah.
just got to upgrade here.
pictures anyway, worst case, you know. You can even just focus on one little area in the photo thing and send it out, or
Yeah, and I like Laura's thought too, in all this presentation, to make sure people are aware that it is a tax on not just us.
Yeah.
So that's important. That's a great idea.
anything
We can
else?
even put that on the flyer that's in the newsletter. And this, as a reminder, this is the first newsletter you're going to get in the next week or so. That's 4 pages. That's our new format. And then this upcoming one. So this newsletter will come out for the February, March newsletter. When that one comes out, it'll be essentially, we're looking to do 2 pages. So you actually get a 6-page newsletter. And the way we're going to do it is probably somewhere on the front page, possibly under the mayor's report in the front, allude to information about the upcoming sales tax and say, please check out our insert. And then people open up and they'll have the 2-page insert there. In our frequently asked questions, we actually have 2 that are kind of addressed directly to sales tax. One is, why a sales tax referendum? And it's because the burden is shifted to not just our residents, but anyone who uses our infrastructure that shops in town or comes to town. And then the second one is the 2 quarters for every $100. So that, that's kind of driven home. We could definitely put that at the top, that it's only on qualified expenses, 50 cents for every 100 you spend.
Also, I think it might be helpful if you add a graphic about the surrounding communities, how we're still competitive, if not below the
So
surrounding.
Jason,
That was in there.
it's hard to see because it's small, but on that FAQ, we actually listed, and it was hard. Like what we did was we
It's
have
on there.
we
Yeah, it's
have
in
a
there.
few towns around us. We basically looked from Sugar Grove north to St. Charles. So we have Sugar Grove, St. Charles, Geneva, Batavia, Aurora, and us in Montgomery. And so we thought that was good. We agreed that was a good idea to show what other towns are already paying.
I love what you guys did. I mean, I think you've covered all the bases. It's very transparent. People have multiple opportunities on many different levels. So good job with that.
I appreciate that. And, I really hope that people come to the open houses because a lot of times people are afraid to ask questions. It's nice to actually have them where you could sit and talk to them and explain things. And Jason does a great job of explaining the budget. So it'd be nice to actually show our capital fund and how it's funded and go through that.
Will the open house dates be on the community sign? That'd probably be a good idea too.
That's a great idea. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right now we just have the generic one for community sign, but we should, when we get there, we'll make sure to do that.
Well, you should do all that, the town hall meeting
Yeah,
and
town
everything.
halls,
I mean,
everything.
it should-
Everything.
I would think it goes without saying, but I would
Yeah.
hope it'd be up there.
I just want to make sure. It's funny, we put a spreadsheet together and you have basically every week there's a task, just to make sure that we're on point.
Anything else, Steve?
No, that's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
that concludes our discussion. Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Aye.
All right, have a good night, everyone.